Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading Multi-Character Listener by me, so let's get into it. Todoroki Shoto. Your behavior was weird to him as of late. You seem to be doing things to purposely get on his nerves. And he was doing his best to keep composed, to try and not to be angry. But it seemed like even his lack of reaction bothered you, when he just wanted to avoid a fight. He had no idea as to what you wanted, and it wasn't like he could read minds. But the idea of you not telling him a single word about what you wanted from him, it was bothersome. Perhaps even more than that. He had no idea what to do to please you at all. And what's even worse, as time passed, you seemed to get more and more irritated, and there were less and less of ways that he could think of to make you happy. And that's when he finally saw you do something that made him really irritated, enough to get a reaction out of him. The thing in particular? Well, you were supposed to be out with him, to the club, to have some fun. Except maybe it wasn't that fun anymore. Because instead of staying with him, you went to get a drink, and now you are laughing with a stranger at the club, instead of being with him and paying attention to him. He would not call himself a jealous person. He usually was not. But this time, he couldn't help but feel that way. It was terrifying what you were doing to him and his heart, hurting him in such a manner. He didn't know this could happen to him, and yet, it seemed like even people like him were not immune to jealousy. He was rather surprised by his own reaction, and displeased by it. But, of course, there wasn't much you could do. And once you were done talking to that person, and you went over to him, you could clearly tell that he was upset by his pouting and the way he refused to talk to you. And for some reason, you seemed to be smiling, which only made his feelings intensify. And that's what made him wrap his arms around you, pulling you close. Do you like doing this to me, Wayan? I really want to understand. Why is that? Why do you want me to feel so horrible? You laugh, shaking your head. I don't want to make you feel horrible. I just want to make you feel the way that you make me feel without even wanting to. You see that feeling? It's awful, and it's called jealousy, Shoto. And that's how you make me feel all the time. I always feel jealous of people getting too close to you, of how you behave with others. I felt like I had to do something too. He frowned at that, but he understands, even if a little bit. I see. Well, later on, don't do that again, Wayan. I don't want that behavior from you. Please. I don't want us to fight. I don't like this for us. You couldn't help but soften at his words, and nod. The two of you were upset with each other, and maybe you had a lot of issues to sort out. But you could tell that he was sincere about his attempt, and it's something that you were willing to give him a chance for. Katsuki. Now, Katsuki was actually someone that was very, very difficult. The way that he made you jealous, and sometimes even on purpose, thinking you wouldn't know. It was infuriating and awful in a way you couldn't really place. But even worse, he seemed to fully believe that he was in the right 100% of the time. Which is why you eventually got tired of that and decided that you were going to do something, since you couldn't get him to apologize and understand how much he was hurting you. You were going to subject him to the same pain until he finds out what kind of pain that you're feeling. And maybe then he will learn. And that's precisely why you started hanging out with this person and trying to flaunt the relationship that you had with them, the close friendship that you had formed so quickly. And eventually, Katsuki noticed, and he began to get jealous. Extremely so. You hadn't known how easily jealous he was until this, and for some reason you were quite happy about it. It felt like you were getting closer to victory with every passing moment, and that's why you kept on going. However, you did not actually expect for Katsuki to grab you in the middle of the meeting like this, to wrap his arms around you and pull you away from the man. Don't even look at her, okay? She is not meant for your eyes, he says, taking you away, and you can't help but laugh softly, shaking your head. What are you doing, Katsuki? You can't just behave like this. I behave how I want. Now come on, he said, pulling you away from the scene until the two of you were alone, and you could see the fire in his eyes, the jealousy in them, and you couldn't help but smile. You're really that protective over me? You want to do this for me? Why do you doubt that? Why are you saying that while smiling too? Don't you get it? I'm angry, Wayan. Well, I was too, when I told you I didn't like your behavior. But I guess it didn't matter when I was the one who was angry. And he looked at you, his eyes going wide, in a moment of realization. And then he quieted down, looking away. In that moment, you realized what you were trying to do, and you also realized how wrong he was, which is why he kissed you gently and apologized. Something that stunned you, and something that you would never forget. And as much as you doubted this plan at first and felt bad for it, you can't help but admit that in the end, it was a success, and it worked very well for you, and it certainly got the point across.